You should not rob someone of their opportunity to respond. You should not rob someone of their opportunity to be great, to be kind, to be a new person. And when you're saying, I already know how they're going to respond if I address it, you are taking that from them. So not only are you not growing, you're not even giving someone else the opportunity to grow. This is Curtis Camponi with Speak for MC, Speak for Motivating Change, and I finally have this multi-cam Mevo situation set up. So we're doing a little test. We have some big things coming, some live streams, some free webinars, trainings, interviews with professionals all across the country. I have some really big ideas for 2024. But before we do any of that, need to kind of gain our footing and how we want to deliver the content to you all, and then what type of content you're engaging in, right? So to start us off, and this is the first one with all the Mevo cams and the Mevo setups, I have a workshop in Orlando with the Ounce of Prevention Fund Florida in 2 days. And we're going to be discussing my favorite workshop, my favorite presentation that I've ever done, called CAPE. One of the key ones we're going to talk about is adaptability. How adaptable are you to change? It's very important to remember that when we talk about change, or you're rolling in a new process, a new goal, a new task, 9 times out of 10, the very first response to that new change is discomfort. It's a very important note, and I say this quite a bit, that when someone is introduced with a new change, a new goal, it could be a professional one. Maybe your company is rolling out a new policy or expectation that's different than what you're currently going through. Maybe it's a personal goal where you're adding a new exercise routine to your schedule. Whatever it is, when you introduce a new goal or a new change, the first response to that, 9 times out of 10, is discomfort. Because if you are doing something and you have committed to doing a certain thing, even if that thing is not good for you or doesn't line up to where you ultimately want to be, you have still found a level of comfort with it. So when someone asks you to do something new, it immediately creates discomfort. Now, it's very important to note with adaptability, when someone experiences discomfort, there's traditionally 2 ways they respond. For instance, let's say a personal goal is adding 1 more day of exercise to your routine. When you initially take on that task, you're going to experience discomfort. So you can do one of 2 things. You can say, you know what, I'm going to push through this discomfort because adding exercise to my routine aligns with my why and who I want to be and my values, my thoughts, my attitudes. I'm in line with my intrinsic motivation. I'm going to fight through this because I know what the end game is, and the end game is so important to me based on all those things I listed. So you take action until you get to a point where adding that extra day is no longer uncomfortable. Now it's comfortable, and now it's the norm. Now, after that, you might add 2 days, and you're going to go through the process again. But responding to discomfort in that way is a positive because you're connected with what has motivated you and why emotionally you're invested in that potential outcome if you fight through that discomfort. That's one response. Now, another response, which is very normal, is we explain away the discomfort. So what I mean by that is, let's say I add 1 more exercise day to my schedule, and I wake up and I do it, and it was a really uncomfortable experience. I didn't like it. I didn't like having to wake up an extra hour early. I did not like how I was breathing so heavy a half mile in of my run. So now, while I'm experiencing this discomfort, what I can do is explain it away so I don't have to keep pushing through those uncomfortable experiences. So I might say, you know what? I didn't have as much energy as I thought I would at the end of the day when waking up an extra hour and running. In fact, I was really tired. And because I was so tired, I couldn't get as much work done as I wanted. And, you know, it's nice to be healthy, but I can't risk losing my job. So this exercising thing is just not going to work right now. So what I did is I experienced discomfort, and then I explained away that discomfort and framed it in a way that it's okay to give up. And I hate to say give up, but in essence, it's okay to going back to what you were doing before. It's okay to go back to your comfortable place, and you can feel okay about it. You can feel good about it, right? So usually when someone's introduced to new change, it's fighting through that discomfort because they're intrinsically motivated to do so, or explaining away that discomfort so they can frame it in a way that allows them to do nothing, to not change. So I say all that to say is when you're talking about the workplace and adaptability, most organizations want employees and team members who understand that when new changes roll out, there'll be some discomfort, but they're connected to the big picture of why that change is happening, and they frame that change in a way that's positive. How could this change benefit us? What are the pros of embracing this new initiative that the agency is pushing down? When you do that, you take more of an optimistic, solution-focused mindset because you're connected and you believe in the direction of the organization or your role within it. So let's talk about one of the reasons people are hesitant to embrace change in the workplace specifically. One of the reasons people are hesitant to be adaptable in the workplace. And what I like to call it is not putting it down. It's when you're not putting it down. And when I do workshops and I do training, this is probably one of the most common barriers to embracing growth, especially when I do like team building. It's when someone holds on to a slight or a wrong they have experienced in the past, maybe at a different job, or they're holding on to something that happened in the current job, like a coworker disrespected them, or their supervisor issued them a disciplinary notice, or one of their team members, when they went to go tell their team member how they felt, the team member shot them down and didn't care. These experiences, instead of unpacking them, talking through them, finding a resolution for them, someone just says, it is what it is. That's fine. I mean, whatever. I'll just put my head down and do my job. I don't know, you ever heard that before? I'm just going to, I'm just here to do a job. So, it is what it is. Essentially what they're saying is, well, I put it down, but in reality, they didn't. They're holding it, and they're holding it on their shoulders. And the problem with holding on to past slights or past grudges, especially when you're codependent on other people, it'll always be a barrier to embracing new change. It'll always be a barrier to adaptability. Because when that new change is introduced or that new goal is introduced, you will be looking at it through a filter of, I was hurt before, and there was never any closure or resolution to that hurt. So when I say not putting it down, it reminds me of the story with the monks. So there were two monks who were on a silence journey, walking together. They had to walk miles and miles, not saying any words, not interacting with any people. So they're doing this, and they get to a river, and at this river is a young lady who needs help crossing it. So one of the monks says, I'll help you, picks her up, and carries her across the river, and then puts her down and keeps going on this silence journey. Meanwhile, while walking on this silence journey, his friend, his teammate, who's also in this with him, is just fuming on the inside. He's angry. He's pissed off. He's like, how could my teammate in this situation break the rule of what we're supposed to be doing together? He's just so pissed off, but he can't tell him because they're on this silence journey. So he's just holding it, and he's angry, and it's building. And then finally they reach the end of it. It's over, and his teammate, the one that's angry, says, how could you do this? Like screams, how could you do this? How? You not only broke your silence by speaking to the young lady, you also picked her up, and that's not allowed. So then the monk that did help the young lady, he looked perplexed, and he simply said, son, I put her down miles ago. Why are you still carrying it? And it was such a beautiful example and story that connects with our hesitance to be adaptable and embrace new change in the workplace when we're holding things. You have to put stuff down. If you find yourself saying, it is what it is, or I don't have any control over it, or you know what, I'm just going to put my head down and do my job, you'll never be incentivized and intrinsically motivated to pursue change. And that means there's not going to be growth. There's not going to be opportunity. And eventually you're going to start pointing the finger outwards, blaming others for this ceiling that has been placed over your professional development. When in reality, they're not putting that ceiling there. Your own grudges, slights, the weight you put on your shoulders by not seeking closure or resolution, you're putting there. It's a ceiling of hates. It's a ceiling of frustration. It's a ceiling of regret. It's negative energy. You have created that. So you have to put these things down. So how do you do that? One, you have to have the courage to have tough conversations. I always say when staff would come to me and say, I don't want to tell that person how I feel or how they made me feel because they're just going to brush it off anyways and not listen to me. And I would always tell them, you should not rob someone of their opportunity to respond. You should not rob someone of their opportunity to be great, to be kind, to be a new person. And when you're saying, I already know how they're going to respond if I address it, you are taking that from them. So not only are you not growing, you're not even giving someone else the opportunity to grow. So if there is an issue that you're holding on to, address the situation that caused that issue. At the very least, maybe that person doesn't receive it like you would like, but it still allows you to put it down. It still allows you to put that down because you tried and focused and controlled the things that you can control. The other thing you can do is stay informed and ask questions. When you hear a new change is coming down, sometimes we ask one question, well, why? And then we get that why and we don't really fully understand, but we don't want to keep asking questions because we don't want to be that person. Ask as many questions as you would like. Now be cognizant of your tone. Be cognizant of fake questions. What I mean by fake questions, it's like saying, don't you realize if this change occurs, it's going to make people quit? That's not a real question. That's you saying, I think people will quit, so I'm going to impose that feeling onto you in an effort to convince you to agree with what I think. That's not a question. A question is designed to truly understand and gain clarity of what's happening. And so for those, you need to ask more open-ended questions. Ask as many questions as you would like when that new change is rolled out. I will say though, just because you've done your due diligence in asking the question, that doesn't mean you're going to get the answer you want. You don't control the answer. You only control the questions you ask and how much effort you put into understanding the big picture view of this change. So adaptability, a big one. People are holding on to things for way too long. They get in this mindset of it is what it is. I'm just not going to worry about it. You know, I don't even think about it anymore. And that's not true either. Anytime someone says, no, it doesn't matter. I've moved on. But you're still using it as an example of why you don't embrace change years later. You haven't moved on. So truly move on, gain closure, have the courage to address the situation, control what you can control, and try to reframe the change in more of an optimistic, solution-focused mindset. Adaptability is everything. If we cannot be adaptable to change, then we will no longer grow. And companies that succeed are ones that grow. Professionals that succeed are ones that grow. People that make true change and impacts on the world are ones that adapt and ones that grow. This was Curtis Camponi with Speak for MC. I'm really excited to bring everyone some content that they could use, frame it in a way that makes sense to them and is practical and applicable to what you have. Give me some comments to let me know different topics you would like to touch on. As I said, we're going to have some interviews We're going to revamp the podcast. And then I'm really excited about diving into this live stream thing. So follow me on social media, all of them. Finally broke down. I got the TikTok. Help me. And go to the website at speakformc.com. But most importantly, subscribe, like, follow, comment, interact with me. There's enough negativity in the world. Why not contribute to solutions and positivity? I'm with you. Let's make it happen. Appreciate y'all. Peace.